So I can only talk, obviously to what happened with me and my daughter and our experience, but I was invited to therapy the first estrangement period, which I think lasted 2.5 years. Now we're in the second estrangement, which is, almost 4 years. But I was invited. The therapist actually called me and I looked her up and, she clearly touts herself as a no contact validation therapist. So at that point I said, she's like, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to try? Will you come in and do joint sessions? And she said, I want to meet with you first, one-on-one, and then we'll proceed with joint sessions. I said, absolutely. I will do anything. So I do know what her therapy is like because I was part of it. And it really was just me validating, or them wanting me to validate every single thing that, was thrown out there. And yes, but some of it also had to do with the environment and the abusive household, my ex-husband, the alcoholism, a lot of that, but all centered around me and my trying to protect my daughters from this. So I immediately, I was told I needed to write a letter of apology, which I did, addressing every single fact, fact as my daughter understood it, or remembered or believed. Even if I didn't agree with any of it. And then after a few months of this therapy, where it was just all, me having to apologize and work on myself, the therapist then, I said, do you want us to eventually get back together and form a mother-daughter bond that we can grow with, for the future? And she finally said, yes, I do believe it's in your daughter's best interest. She needs you. She needs you to be her mother. She wants you to be her mother. And I said, fantastic. So we actually started working towards that end. And it was actually, we got back together. It was going well. And then this therapist, who I started to admire a bit, dropped my daughter because of insurance or whatever, and gave her to an apprentice who was doing it pro bono. And that's when the new estrangement started, because that new therapist, just out of college, needed credits, said to my daughter, oh, we got to start from the beginning. From the beginning, your mom needs to do apology letters. She needs to apologize for this. And at that point, for me, that was the walking on eggshells. Okay, so now I will be apologizing forever for, because it started happening. And that's when I, had to remove myself and say, no, I will not be part of this therapy again. And I even, messaged the previous therapist, and I said, and she also had told my daughter, look, to have a healthy relationship, you cannot just cut off complete contact. Even if you're angry about something, tell your mom. If your mom's angry with you about something, she'll tell you. And we actually started doing that, which was amazing. It's how I maintain the relationship with my husband, with my other daughter, with friends. So I do believe a lot of this, I'm sorry, but the onus is on this new kind of therapy, and it just doesn't work.
If Jillian and Aaliyah, if you were to get these long apology letters apologizing for everything till the cows come home, what do you think of those? I mean, I've got my own opinion on that whole thing, but try to imagine how that would feel, or what are your thoughts?
where I take problem with this is that, um, like Cheryl, you said it yourself, like in that moment that you were saying that you're apologizing, you're like, even if I didn't agree with it, if I got this long, like droning on letter about how sorry my mom was, and I knew she didn't mean a single iota of it, I'd be upset. I'd just be like, see, you're doing this for yourself to make yourself feel better. And this doesn't make me feel better at all because you're not making me feel like you actually are owning any of the things that I'm upset about. And it's almost performative at that moment for me. I don't know how you feel, Leah.
Yeah, I guess I would want to listen to my mom. I don't know about a letter. It kind of depends how it reads. If it was just like, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, it would be, yeah, it wouldn't feel like it was genuine. I would want her to like come up with those things on her own, like just kind of self reflect, like, what are you really sorry for? Are you sorry for like leaving me in the car with my jacket? Like her punishments were so crazy. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, I would want her to kind of reflect. Now I feel like it's too late in life and where she is at, where what stage she's in, her memory, like she just remembers the good things. And I think at this point, I just want to remember all the good things and the good memories. So I just like, yeah, a letter like that seems a little silly to me, unless she wrote it from like, hey, we had a therapy session, now go home and reflect on what she said and see what you're actually sorry for and what we can address. So it just kind of depends, like how Cheryl said it. No, I wouldn't want her to apologize for things that she didn't really feel sorry for, that she didn't see it that way. I'd want to hear, like, oh, well, I'm sorry you felt that way, but like, here's what was going on in my life. I'm a single mother at 40 years old. I adopted 3 kids. It was a lot more than I probably should have done. I stretched myself too thin, and I didn't have the capacity to take care of you in the way that I thought I would. I would rather hear that than an apology for like those punishments I felt like were the right punishment at the time. I'd rather hear that than her saying just I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't describe the letter correctly, concisely. The therapist was coaching me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I forget his name, the guy that wants parents to do these apology letters, but she was a validation therapist. So she was saying, look, your daughter is saying that you beat her, that you did this. Now, those things were not part of this apology letter. I apologized for the things that I absolutely knew that I did, that I felt I could have done better, explaining why, given, obviously, single mother, trying to keep my girls safe, those kinds of things. My daughter did want apologies, and she still, she just is somebody that wants apologies. And I can understand that. Some people are that way. Some people don't want apologies. But the apologies that I gave were from the bottom of my soul, that I knew I had done wrong. Parenting, things, I knew I did them wrong as a single mother.
And I think we all know we didn't do this thing 100%. We all know that, yeah.
And my oldest daughter just, also, because we just had a long conversation when she was here recently, and she's like, you yelled a lot, you did yell a lot. And I said, I know, I am so sorry. And I constantly apologize. I said, yes, I understand. I know I did. It's not right. I shouldn't have. And, if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't.
That's also, and we've talked about that. That's also part of like stressed out mom mode. Come on, let's go get your shoes on. Let's go where's your homework? Where's your, I mean, that's right. Sometimes you just naturally go into that as well when you're trying to do 10 million things and your voice is a few octaves too high. Yeah.
But my point was that with these therapists that want validation therapy, and they want you to do these letters, and they want you to apologize for, even the most outrageous accusations that just did not happen. And I would not do that. So
And I think that's what Aaliyah and Jillian are saying. They don't want that apology. They want the genuine apology. So where you're acknowledging, like, yeah, I yelled too much. Yeah, you're right.
Right. And that was that was in the letter. But then with the new therapist, the younger one wanting to do it all over again, and the same kind of letter, and but constant apologies. And
But don't you think that that's like the line that you draw where it's like, okay, wait, we've already addressed this. Like,
that's
what
what I
more
did.
do you need?
Yeah.
What more do you need from me?
Yes.
Like,
And
exactly.
exactly.
And then, but if she still feels like there's something that needs to be addressed, then address it. Like, okay, there's a reason that these things are happening. And like, I'm not going to just like sit here and like not blame that therapist, because from what, like, obviously just taking it at like face value, that sounds like a terrible therapist. Having been one myself, like that is completely out of practice, and you should pick up where the last one left off. However, if there is like, for me, this leads to something that's like, okay, there's something that's not addressed here. And what is the underlying cause of needing another letter? Like, what more do you want from me? And not in like that like completely like accusatory way of like, what more do you want from me? But just like, what more do you need? Like, what more can I give you to show you that I'm here, that I am on this journey? Like, kind of addressing once again, circling full circle back to that comment of like, where can I show you that this growth is happening, instead of like the walking on eggshells? It's the addressing, like straight on, because I think sometimes we fear actually addressing it, because it seems better to walk on those eggshells rather than to just say like, I'm here, I'm ready for this. Like, what more? Like, bring it to me, instead of like, it's not an offensive way of like, yeah, sure, we'll be in fights with our significant others, our cats, our children, whatever, being like, what more do you want from me? Like, if they're meowing at me, I'm gonna be upset and say it in like an accusatory manner, but like open arms, just like, what more can I do? Like, please tell me. Instead of like the pushing away, it's the bringing in. Like, we could take John Gottman, for example. It's a turning towards, instead of like putting it towards like a romantic relationship, or like how to fix a marriage, how to fix a relationship with your children. Like, the turning towards, there's this enthusiastic turning towards, instead of being like, oh, F this therapist because they're making me do this again. Like, why are they making me do this again? Like, what more can I do? Like, what wasn't addressed that I hadn't addressed? And like, instead of taking this like mentality of like, oh, I've done everything I can, like, F this therapist, F that, like, what more can we do? What more can we do to turn towards? Because sometimes, like, I think we'd be remiss to forget the fact that this is a parent-child relationship. And sometimes there's still this inner child that is so hurt in us that pain seeps through into our everyday life. So it hurts to think like, instead of wondering like, okay, sure, it could be a shitty therapist, or what more can I do? Like, how can I be here for you? Because you're the mom, you're the nurturer. And like, sure, you may not have like agreed with everything, but at the same time, like, it's kind of not your journey.
And you're so right, because I mean, and so many moms or parents did not heal from their childhood. And so, we call it taking the bullet. Is like, you did not get any of your needs met as a child, and now you're having to take 100% of the responsibility for hurting your child. And Eckhart Tolle, he goes into it in great detail in his book, The Power of Now, but he talks about the pain body, and how we all have a pain body, and it's at different levels. Somebody, for instance, a baby might come into the world just crying and screaming and being unconsolable, and then another baby comes into the world just angelic. Those are two very different pain bodies. The parents have done nothing yet. The child just is, one has a stronger pain body than the other. And that's also just part of that human journey that we all need to come to terms with ourselves. How long do we blame another person? How long do we keep, asking them for an apology again and again and again, realizing that that's not ever going to make us feel better anyway? It's until you get, the relationship right with yourself, and you reconcile with yourself. And now you see a shift happening in all of your relationships, all of life. You get evacuated from your home in a fire, and you can relatively act calm, versus not, or thinking that it's the end of the world. I mean, there's This is life work. It's not just parent-child. And by the way, the parent-child relationship for the 20-year-old, the 30-year-old child is way down at the bottom of that list of things to work on. When you're working on your romantic relationships, your kid relationships, your career relationships, parental relationships fall at the very bottom of that priority list, unfortunately, but they just do. And the sad part is that now your parents have all this time on their hands. And so they're kind of looking to you saying, no, I'll do anything. I'll do therapy. I'll do this. And you're like, well, yeah, there just aren't enough hours in the day for me to do therapy with you and everybody else I need to do therapy with because I've got, all these human issues.
It's funny you said that, that children come into the world, with different needs, to the same mother in the same family. And I'll share with you my oldest daughter when she was here. So we had like our first really serious mom to mom conversation. And she has an 18-month-old and she said, because she doesn't like to talk about my daughter, my younger daughter with me, and they're going through their own relationship. And she said, Mom, and she broke it down so in a simplistic manner. And she said, Mom, the fact is that her sister has told her that I wasn't the mother or the qualities of a mother that she needed, my estranged daughter. Whereas her father did have those qualities. She wanted and needed unstructured qualities. Mine were very structured. Whereas my older daughter said, for her, that worked very well. She wanted and needed that kind of structure. And so she believes I was a very good mother. But by her just breaking it down like that, it really made me understand and see things much more clearly. Each child needs different qualities and wants certain things from each parent or both parents. And
absolutely, and each human child has those needs, and we're all, dependent upon feeling safe and secure in the world. But now there's the soul's journey, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So now we're talking about the soul's journey. The soul needed that family to evolve, needed the abuse situation so that it could learn to see it differently or overcome it or turn it around. I mean, we're always evolving. And when we're not looking to grow, which is kind of where we began this conversation, unfortunately, we missed half the recording. But when we're always doing our own work and finding the meaning in whatever life dishes out to us, then that's where we always find the biggest gift for ourselves and the deepest personal growth and our real happiness, because it's never in someone else. It's never in anyone else. Well, we have 5 minutes left. Do you want to take a question? Should we ask Amy? Did you still want to throw your question in there? Do you remember your question, Amy?
Yeah, just a comment. Because when Aaliyah said that when they were both working together, it was wonderful. Remember that comment? Yeah. And I
do.
just thinking about, because I come from a different perspective. I had a mom that was really difficult for a period of time, and I stuck with her, and she just passed away in April. So I kind of went through the whole journey. There could have been times when I would have estranged if I was of a different generation, but I didn't. I took care of her and I stuck with her. And my daughter I have 3 daughters that have pushed away from me. So what I have learned is that you can be working on yourselves at different times, not necessarily together. But when I worked on myself, it influenced my mom, like you were saying, Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see the bond not as either solid or nothing, but more elastic, so that you may be going like this, but there is always a link, whether we like it or not. And I feel like that's where the difficulty is. You want to have that bond, but you're trying to figure out how on both sides. So that's all I wanted to share. But I feel like as if at least one person is working on it, there's hope.
Yeah.
Thank
And that's
you.
why you
That's-
take it. Yeah.
That's
I feel
beautiful.
like that's why you do the work, because that is what provides the hope, as you know you're working on yourself and you know that the healing is coming.
And to
That was
Jillian's
beautiful.
point, give your kids the break. Let them discover this on their own. We can't teach them everything. If we would have always carried them around, they would have never learned how to walk. It's really a time to let them go and discover on their own. And they do. Statistically, we have to remember, estrangement does not last a lifetime. And we just sometimes have to trust the workings of a wise and loving universe. And Aaliyah and I just experienced this. She's staying with me. We were evacuated because there was a fire right outside our door. We were gone for 4 days. We just came back and this house was not touched. And there's no smell of smoke on the inside. It's just sometimes you just have to let go and really trust what's happening out in the world. And that whole thing brought my daughter even closer to me. I mean, what a beautiful thing that such a tragedy now has deepened our relationship after being estranged for 4 years. So sometimes we want what we want so badly, and we just have to let it go and let them find their way and absolutely focus on ourselves. And we do have 2 spots open in our community. If anybody wants to join us, just send me an email. Just email me back to either the roundtable message that you got, and I'll make sure you get an invitation. But we are on the hour, so really quickly, let's ask everybody for their message to their generation. Do you have one? Can you think of one really quick? Jillian, do you have one?
Oh, dang. Yeah. I mean, I'm just resonating on Amy's comment, and there is hope. There's always hope. Just keep going. The work is worth it, and there's no regret in working on yourself ever.
Yeah, it's time well spent. Aaliyah?
Very much so.
Yeah, I think how I started off the conversation, it's a lifetime journey. So just don't get frustrated if you are the only one doing the work. Just know that the healing is paying off in one way or another for yourself, for the people around you in your current environment, and just know the word, it spreads. So just keep doing it.
Yep, I will ditto everything. Keep working on yourself, keep healing, and keep loving. Just keep loving your heart.
And let's all just do it for the world too. I mean, everybody's hurting so much right now and going through some crazy, unthinkable things. Some people just lost their homes and have nothing. And, that work that we do to have compassion and to see the best in other people will pay off for everyone. And we need to work towards that peace right now more than anything. We really do. All right. Thank you all for joining us. And what a treat that you guys got to hear the beginning of this conversation, because it's lost forever. But this was so good. And I just appreciate that we can push back against each other now, because we need to do this in, more in our relationships and this dynamic, just to really show people that it can be done. We don't have to agree with each other. And we're not going to agree with each other. We're going to have very different points of view from different generations, and that's okay. All right. And our private community is meeting right after this. So you guys just hop on the other link and I will see you there. And Aaliyah,
Before we
Jillian,
leave,
and Cheryl, I'm so
I do want to
grateful for all
say
of you.
I love you guys. Share. I know I was hard on you today, but that doesn't change my love of you. And I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't mean to just be
ab-
super harsh. I hope you didn't take it that way.
nope, 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 nope.
Okay.
Love seeing you guys.